Alright, so let's go back here and let's calculate out our percentages now. So we're just going to take our count. We're going to divide it by Rn. Now, as I pull this equation down, I want G3 to go G4, G5, G6. I do not want G13 to go G14, G15. So I'm going to go and I'm going to put the dollar signs in. And so those dollar signs tell the code never to change the G, never change the 13. So we'll execute that there. And we'll drag this down. And then we will change this to the percentage format. So that seems pretty good. Around 30 for ones, around 5 for nines. That seems good. All right, so let's do that Benford's law equation. So once again, just to remind you, the probability that it's going to happen is log base 10, 1 plus 1 over d. So here we go. The way that we do a log base 10 in Excel is log 10, and then 1 plus, now we got 1 over d, so we'll need the parentheses there. So 1 divided by d is our digit, 1, and we want to leave that to completely index as we drag down. And so we need 2 parentheses, and so there we go. And so here's what Benford's law says. And we'll change that to decimal, and we'll give it 1 decimal point. So that's pretty surprising as we look at that. It's weird that the population does fit right along with Benford's law. And we can sit there and we can go chart this out. So I'm going to do the digit, hold control, grab observed and Benford's. And so let's go insert, let's make an XY scatter chart, and we're going to do with smooth lines and markers. And then let's move this to another sheet. Alright, so we can see those pretty much lay right on top of each other. Now, we'll talk about this more in Chapter 4, but this is an awful chart because we have no axis titles. So let's throw those in. And so we'll come over here and we'll sit there and go percentage. And down here will be first digit. And then actually a lot of times when you see this, you'll see the digits as a bar chart. So let's go and we'll do something neat here. So let's click on this. Go to chart design, and we want to go to change chart type, and we've got it down here. It says combo. So Benford's we want to leave as the smooth line. Actually, let's change that to just a smooth line with no points. And then here for the observed, we'll go and we'll change that to a column chart. And so there we go. This looks a little bit more like the typical Benford's law. And so there we go. We can see, hey, this is the percentage chance that each of these will hit. There is what Benford say. That seems to be all in line. So that's pretty cool that that kind of just works out like that. So let's try to do this in Python now. So why don't we we'll open up ChatGPT, and we will we'll put together a prompt. And so the prompt is we're going to want it to plot the Benford's law against the digits, the first digits of our thing. And so one of the first things that we're going to need to do is we are going to want to rename our file because our name is pretty long. So let's go to this name, and this is my data example 3.5. I'm just going to change this to US pop data. And once again, you look at it, there's the A with the comma. This is a comma separated values file. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to go to my local hard drive, users directory, Dr. Rob, and then we're going to go to our downloads folder, and I'm going to drop it in my downloads. So that's in there now. So let's go now and look at ChatGPT. And so a couple things. Got to tell it inputs, got to tell it what we want for outputs. We got to tell it what style to write it in there. So let's tell it you have a CSV file called US, make sure the caps are right, US pop data in my downloads folder. I am using a Windows machine and my username is drrob. Okay, so we've told it at least part of it. We've told it what's going on, and so now let's tell it what we want. So I want you to write a Python code that will plot the frequency. And let's be a little specific. We'll tell it in percentage of the first number in each observation in the column. Now the column is pop estimate 2020. All right, let me fix the spelling mistake here, number. And while we're at it, also plot Benford's law on the same graph. All right, so let's see what it gives us, and hopefully it works out. Now this is one that remember when it gets done and if it doesn't work, we can just tell it to rewrite it in a different thing again. That seems like a pretty good code there. So let's copy the code and let's open up, bring Spider in here. Let's paste the code and let's see what happens. And I'm going to run that. All right, so it's warning. That just means my plot is here, and there we go. Look at that. And so we have Benford's law plotted for us. We have our first digits there, U.S. population data, and just like with Excel, it has given us everything that we need. And actually, if we look down through the code here, we can see, some stuff. Pandas makes it run like Excel. There's our plotting library. NumPy is a calculus, mathematics thing. You can see it changed our file path here. It went into the data and pulled together the pop estimates, calculated the first digits, and right here we can see they generated Benford's law. So that's what they used NumPy for, to pull out the log10 function, just like in Excel. Then they multiplied it by 100 to get it in percentage. And then we've got range 1 to 10, which just means that it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. It actually only goes up to 9 because the way the coding works is they're one behind. And here's our plotting stuff. But anyway, so that's wonderful. It's a really easy way of using Python. All right. So one last thing with this, and this is you'll spend a little bit of time on it. If you look in the download section of Canvas for this lecture, you have 3 sets of data. And so here's our page for class 12, and the 3 sets of data: fraud or not 1, fraud or not 2, fraud or not 3. So before the next class, what I need you to do, I want you to go through those 3 sets of data, and you can use Excel, you can use Python, however you want to do it. And I want you to look at that data and let me know, is there any possible fraud going on? Is there something to look at? Is there something to worry about? So normally we would do this in class, and so I'm having you do it here as part of your remote assignment, and then we will get together and we'll talk about it in our next class. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Now, I do know that this says class 12, our classes are out of sync by a little bit, so please upload your Python code and your Excel workbook for the engagement for class 13.